Ladies and gentlemen, your hosts, Michael Wilkes, Angel Ortiz, Dr. Chad, and Sam La Cavera. Go check out beardedbrowns.com and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
What is up, everybody, on this fine, beautiful day? Thank you for tuning in to the Bearded Browns show or podcast, whatever you're listening to, whether it's a podcast form, whether it's on the video, or you can be tuning in live right now on the new listening tune, WOBL station. Guys, we are on the radio. So all those in Lorain County that are currently listening to us, thank you so much for tuning in and lending us your ears for the next hour, hour and a half. We're going to talk about the Browns, our beloved Cleveland Browns, and the preseason game that we just experienced. We're going to kind of hit on the quarterbacks. Of course, that's all we talk about here in Cleveland is quarterbacks. We can never find one. We're going to talk about some of the receivers and offensive line. We're going to talk about the team in general today, guys. And there is a competition, if we can have enough time, there's a competition that no one's really talking about that we're going to get into nonetheless. What is up, guys? How are you, Mike and Chad?
I am good. I want to hit one thing really quick. This is funny because it's true. Honestly, it's the first preseason game, right? And it seems like a quarter of the fan base has already given up on Cleveland, right? I mean, doesn't it seem that way? Is that like a ritual now, or is it
there's a reason why that quarter is given up?
I was just going to say the game ended, and immediately I started seeing mock drafts for the 2027 draft.
I was there last week. I told
okay.
y'all, man. That's where I was last week. And it's showing itself. But hey,
you sent us a mock draft yesterday.
Yeah, I got one ready. I'll probably post tomorrow. But nonetheless, we are here, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're on the interwebs, please share, comment, and subscribe. Go to our website, beardedbrowns.com. There's some articles that we just posted on there, some fresh off our fingers and on the internet's out there. Give us a good read. Let us know what you think. Also, there's some merch there. We got some hats, we got some shirts, we got some hoodies just in time for that weather when it's about to change for football season. Go and support the show. Much appreciated. We're going to get into the first topic here today. Watson is going to be starting week 1. It's inevitable, right? It's the writing's on the wall. If you really want to look into it, I texted the group today that there's some signs there, especially if you're looking at the quarterback tracker, which I track every time it's posted. There is some reps, believe it or not, in the second team that are being taken from Shedeur Sanders and given to Dillon Gabriel. Wow. When Deshaun Watson has the second team reps, Dillon Gabriel has nothing. So I just pointed out some signs that I've seen where I think Deshaun Watson's lining himself up to be the starter. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the writing's on the wall, and we've talked about it. And it's one of those things where, we're kind of doubling down on it now, but we've been slowly adding to the fact that we've been saying this month after month, and each month it seems to be another sign. Yep. I'm excited that you found an actual use for that quarterback tracker, because realistically, it doesn't tell you anything else. But for those of you that didn't understand what Angel was saying, if there's 25 first team reps and 25 second team reps, when Sanders is up first, he takes the 25 reps and Watson takes the 25 second teamers. When Watson's up first, Watson takes the 25ers or first rounders, and then Sanders takes 15 of the second rounders and reps, and Dillon takes another 10. And so, it almost gives you a little bit of wonder if this competition has just been fading more and more and more to make sure Watson is getting ready. And they've given Shedeur plenty of chances. It's not like they're cutting him out of it. But I think as the team gets closer and closer to having to play a real game, And with Watson maintaining this lead, which we can talk about after the preseason game, it seems like he's not quite solidified himself, but he did awfully darn close. They're just making sure that they're also ready for the season while not cutting out Sanders' chance to take the first team quarterback position. And they're almost begging for him to do it at this point. Like they're giving him all these opportunities, almost saying like, please give us a reason to move into another direction. And again, watching this preseason game, it just didn't happen.
What about you, Mike?
Just in general, what made everything very clear is that the Bears definitely have some depth. Apparently, they have some depth on that team, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that really caught my eye with this, especially after the game, and doing a little bit of stuff after the game, more searching and figuring out some other things. And I guess we all said it is preseason, so let's not get our hopes up too much. But I am seriously still thinking that there could be a quarterback battle at hand right now.
For quarterback 2, maybe.
I mean, yeah, but then even if that is the case,
it's going to rile some people up.
Deshaun Watson is now considered injury prone, correct? I mean, you could say that.
Oh, he's made a Teflon, man. He doesn't get hurt, does he?
Yeah,
even me, who absolutely hates that term, at this point, missing as much time as he's missed every season. Like you gotta say that these are not going away. Like he might go this whole season without an injury, but you're at the point where you're like, don't put a lot of money down on that.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Bet. If he does that, then he's actually played 2 whole seasons of his 5. If he does that,
yeah.
The guy's barely finished. He hasn't actually completed 1 full season of games since he's been here. So you're right. And then again, to that thought, like Dylan was not terribly impressive. To say that there's a competition at quarterback 2 to me is more keeping the reality open that Sanders is a tough guy to have at your second spot. It's tough for your first teamer. And so if Watson does win this competition out, it is a high pressure, high media situation to have a person that all of us and most of the city of Cleveland and most of the NFL would rather be playing than Watson. But again, that's why I think the Browns were very open to letting him win this competition, and it just hasn't happened on the field. And from everything we've been telling you, from what we've been hearing, seeing, and picking out of the reports, he hasn't been winning it off the field either. And we've been pretty clear about that. That's where he had his most catching up to do, was pre-snap, film room, reading defenses. And the one thing that was less worrisome to us was what it would look like once he was on the field. And then he went out there and had kind of a stinker in the opening game. And it was like, shoot.
My biggest thing is obviously the Dylan Gabriel just seemed like he was giving up on plays. Those 2 sacks that he had taken where he didn't try to scramble at all. He looked at the defender coming at him and just dropped down without contact even. I mean, is that to avoid an injury? Is that to why just give up on a play like that? Throw the ball away.
He has been unimpressive at what we thought would be his strong point, and that's exactly what it was. It's just get rid of the ball and make smart decisions. And it's just like, it's so disappointing to me, somebody that was like very high in the fact that's like, he has no real upside. He's got a pretty low ceiling, but his floor will be pretty good. And like seeing a performance like that, I know he was playing with a lot of the guys that aren't going to be out there, but I always say he was also playing against a lot of the guys that aren't going to be out there. He just didn't look dialed in, and that's a bummer because they really were banking on him to be like a stability piece, like just somebody that you could count on to do the basic things right, and it just hasn't happened.
Yeah, I feel that we've given Shador the excuse of the backup. So maybe Dylan just feels like, I'm done. I'm against these third stringers. They're not blocking for me. So maybe he just knows the writing's on a wall for him. Not that he's not trying, but he just knows he knows his role. To address some comments in the KP Young keeps on bringing up that there's no way. What's going to happen is this: Shador Sanders is going to get light load tomorrow, no pads. And then Thursday, you're going to start seeing reports that Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders did share reps with the ones, but what you're going to see is the rep count. You're going to see a higher rep count for Watson over Shedeur. And they're going to justify it by saying, well, because we're starting Shedeur in the game. So what we're going to do is we want to see more of Watson with the ones and what he's going to do because he's going to be playing with the threes or backups. There's going to be a justifiable reason for it. It's going to be explained away by every fan, probably by the Todd Monken and the ownership, whatever. But the writing's on the wall, guys. Deshaun Watson is quarterback one, and I agree with Sam. I said it last week. Just because Deshaun Watson's quarterback one doesn't mean you have a quarterback. I think this is a stopgap year. Unfortunately, they're still going to try to win. It's another tank year. And then 2027, just get that top 10 quarterback chart ready because we're going to be displaying it by week 14, week 15 every week. And we're going to talk about what quarterback fits Todd Monken the best because I think Todd Monken is going to win this guy.
Are we going to bring up college QB trackers now? Is that going to be a thing?
Oh, we can do our own thing if you want to. We can do that. We could track stats. I'll do that for you guys, man. I got you, dog. I'll do top 5 and it can move every week.
So let me hit on I wanted to hit on this comment by KB Young. He says, wrong. Monken said the starters are not playing this weekend. QB1 has not been guaranteed yet. Gabriel getting reps is because they're trading him. Reason Green will play preseason game 3. Here's what I have to say for that. One, you guys better open up your expectations because I know you don't believe us, but we've been saying this for literally months that there's more and more signs that that's not how it's going to play out. And just step by step. No, it's the starter hasn't been named. It's not guaranteed. But if the season were to start this Sunday, it would be Watson. That's what we're saying. So who knows? He could get a high ankle sprain like a Kenny Pickett hamstring injury. Anything could happen. But as of right now, if it was today, the starter's Watson. And then Gabriel, I keep hearing this all over the internet. Gabriel's getting reps because they're going to trade him. Who is trading for Gabriel?
Exactly.
Everybody
tracker reps. It's a tracker rep, by the way. It's not like legitimate reps that they see on tape. It's a quarterback tracker, which is going on ESPN Cleveland. So they're going to be like, oh, he got 3 extra reps. He's valuable. No, it doesn't make sense.
It's like when people kept saying, like, I hate Jedrick Wills, trade him. It's like, if he's that bad right now, nobody's going to trade for him. Teams are just going to wait till you cut him. And Chicago did, and they paid for it with a mean sack. But when it comes to like trading these guys that are bad, like nobody's going to want him, and somebody's going to immediately say Kevin will want him. Well, Kevin has 2 quarterbacks on his roster that are already questionable, but not questionably better than Gabriel. Tua is better than Gabriel. Penix's upside is way higher than Gabriel. It's just not many teams trade for a 3rd string quarterback, guys. Like a backup quarterback costs you a 5th or 6th round pick. What does a 3rd string quarterback give you? Those guys are scrap pile guys. So it seems like a long shot, and that seems like the only destination anybody can think of. And Green is just not ready to strap up and play quarterback.
I'm excited to see him play, though.
Me too. I can't wait to see him run. I mean, he's a specimen, man, but he's not ready to strap it up and play in an NFL game. He is a deep project. Like if we're talking about Sanders as a project, Sanders is so much farther ahead than Green. Yeah. Green, his accuracy's off, his mechanics are off. He is just a glob of really high quality clay that may not even be molded into a quarterback. I hope he does, but he's here because if he doesn't work at quarterback, he'll work at something. They took a Taysom Hill shot on a guy who can stick around in some capacity.
Yeah. Mike,
I think there's a little more to it, guys. It's preseason. I don't want to look too far into it, but I did. I got stuck in this little.
He says I don't want to look forward to, but I did.
And there's certain things to look at. Obviously, the players that Deshaun Watson had the first half against the second half. You got fresh players right off the board. You got your number ones in. You had Casey Concepcion, which had 3 passes for 27 yards. Dylan Sampson caught 2 for 43. And this is all with Watson. Harold Fannin was among Watson's targets. Jerry Jeudy, which had a nice catch. That catch that he had in the middle of the field was great. I'll give him that. And Denzel Boston was involved. And you had Luke Floria. Shedeur had Luke Floria, Harold Fannin, Gage Larvidan, and Denzel Boston. And if everybody remembers, Casey Concepcion's pass was a 13-yard run, or his touchdown was a 13-yard run. It wasn't
It was
a
a shovel
pass.
pass. Yeah, it was a shovel pass.
But yeah, they count that as a run. So, because it was behind the line of scrimmage, obviously, but and a shovel pass. But not only that, the line play, Deshaun Watson had Spencer Fano, KT Levinson, Kingsley Egwakon. Yeah. Good luck, guys.
Close enough.
Right guard,
Got
Tevin
it.
Jenkins, and Tyree Phillips, and DeJuan Jones at right tackle. Shador had Spencer Fano, Levinston, Kingsley, Jeremiah Byers, and DeJuan Jones. And they were literally in and out, on and off the field. And I could tell you exactly how many snaps they had if you wanted. KT Levinson with the most snaps. And you had 4 guys, Zion Johnson, Titus Howard, Tevin Jenkins, and Elton Jenkins, which are probably going to be your starters, with a combined 40 snaps in the entire game. All 4 of those guys each had 10 snaps. Then you had your other guys in there longer, obviously, but there's that to look at. That's not a debate at all.
So do you think at some point we got to stop using the talent he had on the field and ask yourself, why has he not risen the talent that he has to be better? Right.
Yeah, it's just what we said about Gabriel. There's the reverse of that. Like, sure, those were his linemen, which, first of all, I actually didn't expect those names to be so good. DeJuan Jones, KT Levinson, like, some of the guys that were out there with Shador, I didn't realize he had that high competitive linemen out there. Not that it was the same as the starting lineup, but those are guys that are gonna make this team, though. Like all those guys are gonna make. It's not like last year when he played with guys that were about to get cut. Those guys are all gonna make this team. Even Kingsley, like if the other centers don't get healthy, that's a guy who's in line for that. But I guess on the other side is the Bears started with their second team, which means while he was playing with the second team line, very likely chance the Bears were playing their third and fourth string defenders. So like we never take that part into consideration. It's not like he got stuck with the second teamers against a bunch of an all-star team.
I talked about that at the beginning of the show. I said obviously they got depth.
Yeah, they probably do. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's all I'm saying is like we have to stop excusing like because he didn't play with the prime talent. It's a problem because he played against less than prime talent. So it's got to balance. Like,
and this is a kid who said last year, I'm better than half the starting quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, you can't be that cocky until you prove it.
I mean, we at some point we have to sit there and say, stop pampering him and say, listen, this is what we expect, whether it's 2s or 3s or 4s. We expect you to be accurate. We expect you to not hit the big play just when someone blitzes. Like read the defense, diagnose when the defense or the blitz is coming, when they're not coming, because the numbers are, even though it's a PFF, a preseason game, like he struggled against non-zero coverage. Whenever it's a blitz, he's okay. When it's coverage, when it's to the max where he doesn't know where to read or who's covering who, he struggles with that. He is still struggling with that. Same way, reason why Kevin did not want to put him in the field, which he was getting crapped on all last year. He was protecting him. He's still showing issues currently this here. And now it's just one preseason game. So I'm not trying to be dramatic. But while he was being protected in a clean pocket, meaning there's more defenders out there. There's max coverage. He was 2 for 6, 30 yards. He averaged 5 yards per attempt. He held the ball for 3.14 seconds. That is where he needs to excel at. I'm not even looking at the matchups. I'm looking at that part right there. If he's struggling when there's coverage with average defenders, he's going to struggle with people who are starters.
Yeah, right? I get that. I do get that. I'm not trying to sit there and make excuses while making excuses for the kid, but I am merely trying to figure out a quarterback situation.
Yeah.
At all. Like I'm not going to say Deshaun Watson was elite that day either.
I agree.
Nobody was. Almost every facet of the game was horrible except the wide receivers. Really,
they were beautiful, weren't they?
It wasn't a great game by any of the quarterbacks. The only one thing I want to say before we kind of move on from the quarterbacks is there's a lot of people out there that treat Shedeur Sanders like he should have been a first rounder when he was a fifth rounder. I'm one of the people who have consistently said, like, I don't think he's a fifth round talent. I also never thought he's a first round talent. But I will say we treat him like he should have been a first rounder. A lot of people do. If he was a first rounder, we would never tolerate the stuff that's going on out there and say, like, it's because he's with second teamers. If Baker Mayfield was out there in a preseason game and lofted an interception straight to 3 defenders, we would call it out. And I just think part of Angel's point is we just don't want to with this kid. And I think part of it's because we've gotten basically like trained that you just can't say negative things about him. You can't even say partially positive things about him. You have to be all positive or you're going to get crushed. And I see the tides turning where the internet, X, threads, the media are sort of kind of getting over that. And they're like, okay, we kind of tiptoed around this for an entire year. We're not going to do it again. So I just think it's time for people to get on board with, if he messes up, it's okay to say, be better.
One thing I want to hit real quick, and Angel and I talked about it. I don't know if I sent that in a group chat or not, but that was Charles Bentley article about the offensive line. Did you read that, Chad?
Mm-hmm.
He's good.
That gives you plenty of insight on how everything needs to work and how we've talked about it for the last month at least, of how this line has to gel. And that's something I'm hoping to see happen and get better and better throughout the weeks. And hopefully that will make quarterback play better as well.
Mike, you brought up some stuff Deshaun Watson struggled at, and we're going to do that. But first, we have to pause for station identification.
And we're back.
So you were right. Deshaun Watson missed a lot of open receivers. Matter of fact, he was better when the pocket was kept clean. He was 8 for 10. By the way, he should have been 10 for 10. He had 2 drops. So when the pocket was clean, he was perfect. If you're a PFF guy like me, he was 8 for 10.
Who dropped those real quick? It was Fannin and who else?
Fannin, which is why I'm not worried about that.
Was it both of them?
No.
Fannin. I think I can't remember who the other one was.
I thought the other one was a running back or something, though.
It was like
Samson.
Yeah, Samson. Yeah,
I think it was Samson.
So when he had protection, he was good. The issue was with him was the blitz. When he was blitzed, he was atrocious. And now I can't find it because I scrolled down too far. But yeah, he was. But what's encouraging is when he was with the first team, which they were consistently good, which hopefully they can see that in practice with Shedeur when he practices against Buffalo, how well he does with the first team. He was 8 for 10, 103 yards. He average attempt was 10.3 yards per throw. The average time that he held the ball was 2.46. Compare that to 3.14 with Shedeur Sanders. That's all I'm saying is that if that's what kind of gives me a little bit of hope with Watson. Now he had a lot of open guys and he did not, he looked, but didn't pull the trigger.
I'm so glad you brought that up because it is all over the internet. That one play where he dropped back, the pocket was clean. 3 guys were all breaking open and he held it too long, hesitated, and ended up having to run for like a yard. Yeah. I will say it is only one play, but that is the concern because that is where he went wrong the last time he was out there in 2024. He was not pulling the trigger with open guys, and he was taking sacks or running when he didn't need to. It's only one play. It's a film moment, but it's what he needs to change in the next 3 weeks before it's actual go time.
There was another one that kind of upset me where it was kind of the same thing. He dropped back, had a clean pocket. People got open. Judkins was open right in the center of the field, and he threw it to a wide receiver off to the left, and immediately the receiver was just smacked. I don't remember who it was, but I saw that. And then the one other thing I did not like about Deshaun Watson, to be honest, is when he scrambled out of the pocket, ran past the line of scrimmage, and dove head first into the ground.
Yeah. Like when he did that. Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, dude, slide. You're still a concussion, man.
Oh,
man. He's not our long-term answer anymore. You could throw your body straight into a mill if you want.
Tyson Bagent had a nice slide.
Sacrifice yourself. This is the end anyway. But yeah, and then some other issues with Deshaun before we move on. He ran that quarterback sneak, and I was like, oh, to do a quarterback sneak in preseason, I thought was kind of strange. I wondered if it was just to see how he handled forcing contact because it's an Achilles he's coming back from. And if you're going to sneak, it's all like calf. You just got to lean in and push. And so I kind of thought maybe they just wanted to kind of see if he was just going to tough it out, if he had it in him, if he was going to hesitate at all. And he didn't there. So that made me feel better. He's got other issues to work on, but it's not the ability or he's not protecting his body. Like you said, he dove straight into traffic. He did a quarterback sneak. So the one thing I thought I'd be concerned about was him being hesitant to take a hit, and that doesn't look to be the case. And then there was a lot of talk about that forearm injury. I just thought I would bring that up. It sounds like literally one of those, like when you get hit in the inside of the elbow, the funny bone injury,
Yeah.
and your hand and forearm just for a couple minutes go numb. I don't think it's a real injury. I think it was just more of what you just say, a zinger. I mean, it's just a little nerve buzz, and it probably was gone minutes
He said it was
later.
his funny bone.
Yeah, that's what people call it. Ironically, we have a humorist, but that's not actually what you're hitting.
Very humorous.
Real quick, Watson under pressure, 3 for 5, 23 yards, only 4.6 yards per attempt. Held the ball for
He dunked
3.6
it.
seconds.
Yeah, under pressure, he
3.6. Held it longer.
he checked
Gotta
it
get rid
off.
of it. Yep. He got scared.
And again, people will bring up Sanders had a farther yards per attempt. Don't care. Yards per attempt means almost nothing to me. Yards per completion, you could probably get me at, and that's something that Sanders excelled at compared to Gabriel. We need Watson if he's going to start to have more yards per attempt, but you can win moving it around the field a couple yards at a time. For me, it always just comes down to when the shot is there, are you willing to take it? Gabriel never was. Sanders always is. Watson needs to be comfortable when it's there on a play action or on 3rd and 2 when they're expecting us to run or when he breaks free out of the pocket. He's got to feel comfortable letting it rip. And we didn't see it in preseason game 1, but he needs to be able to do it.
I agree. Did you like that Samson screen? You can see a lot of those, man. A lot of screen
I just
plays.
like Samson used last year. They just apparently, even with Judkins hurt, they decided let's barely use him at his absolute best capacity as a pass catcher. And I do not know. That was one of my big people who've listened to the show for a while know I was a bit of a Stefanski defender, but that was one of my biggest complaints from him was, where is Dylan Sampson? He is a weapon.
Yep,
use him.
I agree. He's Tom Monken's gonna have fun because you got KC, you got him, you got Bond that can do those screens, man. That screens are gonna be big this year. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that was the most beautiful play, I think, of the whole game. Perfectly executed. There was pressure coming.
Blocking.
Deshaun stayed. He stayed calm in the pocket and let that play develop and got a perfect pass off. That is more of what I want to see.
It's been a while since we see an actual perfected screen here that we're talking how excited
people will say it sounds easy, and I'm like, we've seen it
5 years of not seeing one execute while other teams do it on your defense. It speaks for itself.
Shout out to Samson to your point too, because it was a beautiful run after catch. He split the defenders as they enclosed on him. He just showed burst, and he looked like a movie, like somebody trying to like get through a door before it closes on you, and he just blasted through like and didn't hesitate, didn't juke, didn't do anything, but just took the angle and outran opponents, and it was just such a great play.
Yeah, I agree. And there's some good screens like Don Flowers just posted on our chat. There's some that was set up, the block just wasn't there. They failed blocking. It could have seen a lot more of those. So preseason, we can say it's preseason, but the expectation, the things that look, how did they look?
I phrase it kind of this way because people say like, oh, Watson had an okay game, but it's only preseason. It's supposed to look good. It should look good. And I agree with that. It should look good. That brings up the question of like, why did the line look bad? It's pretty vanilla defense. Why didn't why year after year do people not look better? Because in preseason, when you look over the entire NFL, there's guys that aren't even going to make a team who
Yep.
find a way to make themselves look good. So, you know, year after year with the Browns, like I don't care about who wins the preseason game, but it is your chance to look good because the competition is different and things are bland. And so, people use it almost as an excuse for like when a guy looks bad, like, oh, don't read into it. It's only preseason. But it it should look good because it's going to get harder. So like this is their chance to perfect
Yeah.
simple things. They didn't have a giant penalty problem. I was happy about that because we've watched preseasons where there's a lot of penalties, and you thought, dude, if you guys
Yeah.
are getting drawn off sides in preseason, we're in trouble.
We had
There
5
was a couple.
penalties for 42 yards.
Yeah, 42 yards to me in a game, even with that many different people switching on the line and all over the place, like, that didn't bother me so much. But, I think the point is, like, in preseason, you really wanna come out of that saying, like, "We gave you a simple job. You only had to do it for 30 snaps. How did it look?" And it should mostly look good. And we just talked about the quarterbacks, and for the most part, none of them blew us away. There unfortunately were some other positions that struggled that we really need to be good. But there also on the other side was a handful of positions that we'll get into that and players and some we've already that looked good and can continue to look better and better as they get more and more um, uh, practice under their belt.
One thing
KP Young says Brown's going to have 6 different offensive linemen, so Watson can throw 5-yard passes for Junkins, Sampson, and Fanning to make big plays. That is going to be the offense this year, folks. It doesn't matter if it's Shador, it doesn't matter if it's Dylan, it doesn't matter if it's Watson. Todd Monken's going to throw a lot of screens, and we're just going to have to get used to it. You want to know why? First of all, your offensive line needs to gel. So that's going to be your handoff play until they gel. Second of all, your quarterback's not on the roster. So he's just trying to survive. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. So don't get used to it, regardless of who the quarterback is. And by the way, I have a pet peeve when people bring that up. Like, just because Shador throws the ball longer 2 times a game doesn't mean isn't throwing 5-yard passes either. Just saying. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
You got to get rid of the ball quick. But you just solidified what I was going to say here. I was going to say, you're not going to see great quarterback play. You're not going to see great running back play for the most part until this line starts getting their things together. And there's a lot more than just pushing one guy away from your quarterback or your running back that goes into this, guys. There is some technicals that really go into an offensive line, whether they're going to double team a guy, hit 2 guys on one guy's and hit the left and the right. Like it's a lot more than you think. And then you got to read that once you get up to the line to figure out what these linemen are going to do as well. It's not simple. So give that offensive line some time to gel. And I think you're going to see some good stuff evolve. Just again, like I said, Sunday, it doesn't happen overnight, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're right. We've been saying that for a couple of weeks. And then Charles Bentley posted that article and justified what we were saying. So when Mike sent that to me, I read that and I copied the paste like, dude, we've been saying this for weeks. So
Yeah,
right.
it always
so
feels
smart.
better though. First of all, it's a very he writes a lot better than I thought, and I've known he was smart. I mean, the guy's been involved with Cleveland since he came here and got injured and never played for us, but he's always stayed somehow involved, and I've seen interviews with him, but like the stuff he was writing is so easy to follow, and it clarifies things that we've been saying. And to me, like it's not like we weren't confident in that take, but it is nice to hear it from somebody that has such a like depth of knowledge for those positions too.
Yep.
And again, that was maybe the second most worrisome group to me was the offensive line. But we all have been saying for months that it was going to take a long time to be good. I think it's going to look like that all September. My biggest hope is that they pull it together sometime in October. I don't think it's realistic to expect it sooner than that. I think it will be upsetting if they don't at least have 4 solid linemen after that stretch, and we'll see, how it all works out. But they have some depth there. They've got almost too much competition there because they haven't been able to just nail these guys to their position and tell them to just start to gel with each other. So the longer that drags out, and they're only one position away from the final group now, luckily, That's going to be better for everybody, the quarterbacks, receivers. Nothing goes well if the line can't open a hole and give you 2.5+ seconds to
Yep.
read the
Scott says, why does it feel like you've already given up on the season? I hope gave up hope on the season. We haven't given up hope. You want to know why? Because we have wide receivers. And we're about to get into that right now. Your wide receivers are spectacular. And it's been a while since we've said that. The hype at camp seems to be real, guys. You had Casey Concepcion. By the way, how did he stay upright on that touchdown? He slipped. I thought he was out. I thought his knee was down, but it's like he floated on a
Took a hip
magic carpet
after
ride.
too.
Yeah. That
Contact.
is insane to see that. Normally, when a play like the shovel pass play happened a year or two ago, we would be so angry because it wouldn't have been executed correctly. It probably would have been fumbled or the guy would have lost 2 to 3 yards. But that play was executed spot on, and Casey Concepcion did the play making afterwards. So, guys, I have to ask you, what was your impressions with not just the rookies, but Bond and the other receiver that everyone hates in Cleveland, Jerry Jeudy? Mike?
I was thoroughly impressed. You saw improvement. Obviously, the rookies coming in and showing what they're capable of doing is great. I'm going to tell you something. When Casey Concepcion ran that touchdown in, that moment when I saw that right at the goal line and him almost get smacked by somebody kind of scared me and brought back like PTSD from that Kansas City playoff game.
Oh,
The
yeah.
fumble, the helmet-to-helmet contact. I believe that was against Njoku,
Yes.
right?
That was
happened to?
Higgins. Was it Higgins? Hollywood?
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
I think it
yeah,
was.
yeah. You're right. You're right. But yeah,
Plays in
I
my
thought of
brain
that.
every day. Plays in my brain, man.
Who made that hit? Sorsby or something? Or
Yeah, it was
Sorensen?
Sorsby. Yeah, Sorensen. That's who it was.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna lie, I was skeptical because obviously you have 2 rookies that show promise in camp, but when they come out on the field, it's time to play. They have something to prove, just like every other player that's on that field, and they did just that. Even Jerry Jeudy with that catch from Watson, I did like that. I like to see improvement, and you saw that with this wide receiver room, and able to catch bullet passes. Because I remember last year, every bullet pass seemed to be like more of a drop than it was caught, even if it was on the numbers. That bullet pass to Jeudy, Casey Concepcion took a bullet pass, man, and grabbed it. I was like, this is amazing. So the fear went away a little bit after, probably the first quarter. I was like, all right, man, we have some receivers that can catch the ball. That's promising. That means something because those are going to be the guys that are going to put points on the board.
Yeah, it
Hopefully.
means a ton. It means a ton, and it means a ton because we have so many quarterback questions, and we have so many line questions. And the one thing you're going to need this offense to be able to do is run the ball and turn short plays into big plays. And not only did these guys catch everything we mentioned, like, yeah, Fannin dropped a pass. I am not worried about Fannin's hands. He dropped like 2 passes all last season. He's got the hands. A drop here feels real fluky, but Jeudy caught a pass. Like everybody we expected to see something from, or we needed to see something from, we saw something from. The rookies were a big deal because there's been so many times where we've had camp hype and then you get to playing games and you're like, well, womp womp. I guess that was just camp. So it wasn't a giant sample size for any of them. It wasn't like anybody got like seven targets, but the ball came to them. They caught it in their hands. I didn't see like chest catches. Guys that we were worried about with drops made really nice scoops. And the most important thing we've already highlighted, each of these guys look like they know what to do once they get the ball in their hands. So if you're going to have to get it to them quick, especially early in the season when the line struggles, knowing that one of them, like Concepcion, Jeudy, can get the ball and then make something happen after. Samson, obviously, it's a really big change from what we've had in the past, where even when we've had guys who could catch the ball, you pretty much think that that's the end of the play as soon as they get their hands on it. And now it's looking like our most dangerous receiver last year, Jeudy, is now
3, 4.
I don't know, the third or fourth. Like Bond looks like he knows what he can do after he gets the ball, but he also looks like the one guy that can run away from the defenders and run under it. Concepcion and Boston both look like they can break a tackle and make a play. Like it just changes everything when your best players become not the guys you have to depend on anymore. And this is a situation where I don't want to create too much hype in preseason, but they've been talking about these guys since training camp, since mini camps into preseason, and it's starting to get to the point where it doesn't look like a mirage. It looks like we really have playmakers. And to give us credit, for a long time, people kept saying, well, Andrew Berry can't draft wide receivers. And we kept saying consistently on the show, Andrew Berry hasn't tried to draft a star receiver. He's grabbed some toolsy guys in the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth round. This year, he grabbed high talent. He took 2 guys that he thought were a steal at the first and second round, and they look every bit so far of what you need to see out of NFL wide receivers, and that is freaking awesome. Because
How can
whether
you
or
tell
not
that by one preseason game, Chad?
I know. They still have to prove it in the regular season, but it was like in mini camp, rookie camp, they had to prove it in mini camp. Mini camp, they had to prove they could still do it in training camp. Training camp, they have to prove it they can do it in preseason. Each time they're stepping it up to the next level. So like, there's going to be a point where like, if you have to place your bets on it, I'll just say, if you're playing fantasy football, do not hesitate to draft either of these guys, because if we get a quarterback that can get him the ball, they will score you points. That's where I would leave it.
Real quick, before we have to pause for station identification, shout out to Andrew Berry for trading down and not being tempted to get Tyson. I forgot his name. Jordan Tyson for him, because I know they were rumored to go after him, but they decided to go get Fano, because if that would have happened, that would have changed the landscape of this draft. If you would have drafted him over Casey Concepcion, knowing what Casey Concepcion is doing here on another team, that would have caused many, many headaches for Browns fans. So now we pause for station identification.
And
all right.
we're back.
And we're back. Now we're going to get into the O-line, right? We've been on this, guys. I'm proud of us that we've been saying it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be this thing where they're going to have to get together. And during Watson's time, they looked like they were pretty good. But then when the pieces that were starters started to fall out, that's when a lot of the question marks started to pop up. Mike being our professional offensive line guru. Mike, you've been preaching offensive line since we've actually started this podcast together 4 years ago.
Closest size to an offensive line.
Yeah, you are. So. Now people don't notice Mike is an offensive guard size or a tight end.
I wake up and feel like I should, just go to camp and
just start blocking. Yeah.
It's funny because at this age, I wake up most days and I feel like I was at camp yesterday. And
that's yeah, I get that as well. It's guys, we've talked about it forever, and it feels like forever. Obviously, that's where your play starts. Again, man, it's just one of those things that has to be on its A game for your team to be able to put points on the board. I don't want to see my quarterback scrambling every other play. Do you? We don't have a Lamar Jackson. I mean, unless you put Taylor Green in, right? I mean, then you could possibly pull that off, but then you got to throw a pass and it's going to be incomplete or intercepted. There's risks and rewards that you take every day. Obviously, that's another thing that we've talked about. Is just this line has to get their stuff together, and once they do, I'm really looking forward to what they're going to do to help the team. And they know this. They know everything they have to do. It's their job, and I'm sincerely looking forward to what comes out of it, because you're going to see, I think, massively better play. I think obviously your run gaps are going to be open better for Quinshawn or anybody to get through those holes, and then obviously we got Fano now that's blocking your left tackle, or your at left tackle, which is your quarterback's blind side. That needs to be protected the most, right? There's just those little things that not a lot of people think about, I guess, when it comes into offensive line play. It's not just pushing and shoving a guy to the ground. There's a lot more that goes into it. And this is something that I think with a couple of weeks, we'll be all right.
Sam said, Mike, the toe motor Wilkes. That's funny. How about you,
Stop it, Sam, the wannabe roofer.
I mean, Mike covered the basics. Like, he's right. Things don't. It's not like it's a complete failure, but things just don't run well when you don't have the line. The good and bad of it is what you brought up earlier, Angel, is when the starters were out there. That's when they did look the best. But Mike's right. It's going to take a long time for them to gel. I also don't want the reason I keep saying that is not just so people's expectations are, oh, it's not going to look perfect from day one. I also want you to realize what it looks like on day one doesn't mean the line is a failure either. Because I'm already hearing people say like, oh, they're going to have these linemen aren't good. And it's like, you won't know what these linemen are until November and December. And by the way, that's when things get rocky, windy, wet, cold, and that's when you want your line to excel anyway. So like, don't get too excited for them week 1, but also don't get too down on them in week 4 because it really is going to matter what they look like in the second half of the season. And that's all the more reason that it's not that big of a deal if Watson is the beginning of the year sacrificial lamb. What we need to be looking for, though, is are these guys progressing together? Are the young guys who are going to be here for a while? And Titus Howard came in to fill a spot, but he's not the future of this team. Spencer Fano on the other side is the future of this team. We want to see, Elton Jenkins, Tevin Jenkins, Zion, are these the guys who we think are going to be here for a long time and we gave pretty big capital to? Are they going to, how many of them are going to be in the spot that they started in when we end this season? And it has to be 3 to 4 guys in this locker room that can start for you throughout the end of the season and next year. And then the rest is depth. I think we have pretty decent depth. A bunch of people that started last year are going to be our depth. But what I wanted to see the most was like, how did the young guys look? I think Barber had a rough one. He's the one that gave up that sack fumble and his guy blew right by him. But the guy that's much more impactful to us, who we need to be good early, was Fano, and he looked pretty good both on film and in the numbers once you recapped the game. And that's massively impactful. He's the most important line position.
He had 33 snaps Saturday.
33. He had 33. You know who didn't have a good pass blocking game though? Titus Howard. His grade was 15. 1.5, not 50. 1.5. Pass blocking grade.
Again, and that stinks because he's the veteran, and we traded for him, so we gave up capital. It was low capital, but you kind of expected him to be the veteran that could just step right in and get going. He was one of the people I expected to be fine early on, and I was more worried about the longevity. But that right side of the line is still up for grabs in the long term. And so I'm just dying for Dewan, KT, anybody, to Barber to be the eventual guy on that right side.
Somebody. Mike.
Anybody. There's
anybody. Me.
So-
All 100 pounds of me. Go out there and just block. Spencer Fano did have 20 pass block snaps. He only allowed 2 pressures, 1 hit, 1 hurry, no quarterback sacks, and had a 94.4 pass blocking efficiency. So the only thing that he had a downgrade on was 47.1 was his run blocking, but he's a rookie. We're gonna look past that for now. They all sucked at run blocking.
Yeah. Run blocking, and it's not our biggest concern, but run blocking looked bad across the line for the first and the second unit. They just could not get guys moved, and hopefully that was not the problem I was worried about this season. So hopefully that was a blue.
Speaking of tackles, real quick, do you guys know who gave up a big sack on the Bears? Don't you?
Your guy, your favorite player, Jed Wills.
Jed Wills, yeah.
Like
I think a couple people in the comments have brought it up, and I just think like Browns fans, that was probably the second biggest cheer of the game was when Jed Wills got beat for a sack at the Browns bar where I was watching. There's some big play. Like this, the Sanders throw to Floria got some big cheers. Obviously, the biggest plays of the game were Concepcion both scoring his touchdown, but also showing some ability in the return game. But I think people were pretty hyped to watch Jed Wills fail somewhere else.
Yeah, he looked bad.
I liked it. I liked it. I thoroughly enjoyed
Yeah.
that. But Squirrel, that's what he does, man. The dude will be in the middle of a play and just stop.
He's good for an Olay twice a game.
Yeah, maybe, and that was it. Um, we do have plenty of offensive line depth. I think that will, like I said, once they gel, I think we should be all right. All right. I'm not saying we're going to be grand, but we're going to be all right.
It doesn't have to be perfect this year. It just has to be building towards a winning line. And that's why I said if they get 3 or 4 starters at the end of the season that they're like, these are our guys, then they don't have to fill in that many pieces. And then next year they can come in with some glue already. And it doesn't have to, like this year, like 5 new linemen is unheard of. Is there any other team in the league? I'd love to search. I would be willing to bet it all that there's no other team that is starting 5 new people at every position.
I think we're the only one,
That's
actually.
crazy. Yeah, that's unheard of. And so that's why I said if they come out of this season and 3 or 4 of these guys feel like they're going to be your starter next year, then you nailed it, really.
And that's something else I want to bring up. You have a whole new offensive line. You still don't know who your quarterback is. You got a new wide receiver room for the most part. You have a new coaching staff offensively. You have a new defensive coordinator. All this, while we wish as a Cleveland Browns fan, we do that every year, it's not going to happen right away. There are lots of things that go into creating an entire new offense, and we are pretty much in an offensive rebuild right now. So take that with some consideration when you're watching these guys in preseason, and hope for better results week 1, week 2, week 3. It's going to be rough, but they're going to show signs of improvement.
Yeah, so for the Buffalo game, I'm hoping to see some improvement with our backup O-line. Maybe to make some adjustments with the run blocking. It's going to be hard to tell how well they played. You'll probably see a lot more on X with all these reporters tweeting every single snap. But we'll see. It's one preseason game. Well, they got 2 more to go. Most likely, hopefully we'll see some improvements on that offensive line. But what can we get out of our defense that we already don't know is one thing, and I think we all agree, is depth. Because once the starters went out, that's when you're like, wait, is this the Browns defense of last year? Like, you start to really quietly like, man, this is going to be bad. But then you have to remember, like, these are like 3rd, 4th string guys who are playing in the NFL game for the first time, like Michael Coach Jr. He made a couple good plays for the ankle sprain. But all those, I mean, you had some bright spots. But what do you guys think about the depth on the defensive side?
Very much needs help. I mean, again, like we were just talking about with the offensive line, there's some new pieces over there that could probably use some help and get, to gel as well.
Yeah.
Because that was horrible. You gave up 34 unanswered points. Like, did we get identified that quick to just dude, I mean, you had literally a backup quarterback and our old quarterback Case Keenum lighting you up for what was it, almost 400 yards?
Yeah, he did pretty. He looked young back there, didn't he? Looked like he's playing for a starting position there. That's crazy.
And Jordan Bajan isn't a bad quarterback either. He's not. He's pretty solid.
Yeah, he's a good backup. I think
I make this team.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's rough. That is rough. But yeah, we definitely need depth. The Carson Schlesinger injury is still going on. They're not going to put him in play yet at all. They're taking it very lightly with him, and they will not discuss what the injury is. So don't ask.
And as the show's resident fake doctor, I'd love to tell you guys about the injury, but they are keeping this incredibly hush. Like they are like as bad as last year when it came to injuries. They aren't telling us even like what body part is it? Like what is the worry?
You know what the Browns aren't keeping hush? Who comes in Berea? Whoever comes in Berea for a workout, it's just out there and it gets reported by a reporter. And then you think he's going to get signed. And then he responds, who told you that? I still got another workout tomorrow. Man, Zardarius Smith signs with the Atlanta Falcons after it seemed to be stamped, signed, and delivered that he was going to be a Brown. And then all of a sudden now he's a Falcon. So that takes away the edge. Are you guys worried that Clowney and him did not want to come here?
Obviously, you wouldn't have. I don't know. You come out of retirement and you come to Cleveland. That's your first stop, and then you go to now what is considered a pretty much, you can say it's a rivalry because you got our old head coach that caused a bunch of unnecessary drama, and you went to Atlanta. You worked out there, and then the next day you sign with Atlanta. What is Atlanta offering to you? I was $6 million.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
4 million,
it
6
could have
million.
came down to money. You know, it was said earlier that it came down to he was going to get more starting snaps. Realistically, though, Mary Kay, as much as I, am very skeptical of some of her football opinions, she doesn't typically miss a report, and she was on this one as the Browns expect to sign them, and that doesn't mean it was going to happen. What that tells me is somebody in the organization told her they were ready to sign him, which means it was him that decided, no thanks. So should we be concerned? I wouldn't be that concerned because that Zadarius Smith didn't sign with the Browns. Where I'm concerned is we had a guy in early in the offseason to take up this veteran edge spot, and they didn't pass him on his physical, and then he went to another place and passed his physical. Since then, they've brought in like a half dozen other people to look at that edge spot. And the two big ones that look like they might be a lock to sign here were Clowney and Smith, and both of them took a meeting with the Browns, apparently looked good and looked like very signable by us, and chose to go another place. The clock is ticking. There's not that many other options out there. This guy just came out of retirement. This may be a situation where the Browns are sitting there at the waiver wire waiting to see if a team cuts a veteran that they can bring in last minute who had no training camp with us whatsoever and is going to be counted on to come in and play meaningful minutes for us. And that is tough that they let themselves be in a position to be so shallow. And it's not just on the defensive line.
Corner.
That's just where they're bringing guys in. It's also in the secondary, and it's also in the linebacker position. It is just shallow on the defensive side of the ball.
And that's my biggest fear. You're going to have injuries on both sides of the ball. It's inevitable. It happens. But it's just, how do you find depth, before week one?
You don't?
Yeah. You better hope and pray that your starters stay as healthy as possible.
Mhm.
I mean, you even got rotational guys. Your defensive line gets rotated out. I mean, and they didn't look good either at all.
I think it was Pete Smith that said on the OBR that the only defensive player that he noted that looks playable on this team once the starters went out was Aiden Huntington. And I was like, that might be right, because he's clearly going to make the squad, but like nobody else looked good. And it doesn't mean like none of these, they still have weeks to get better, and some of them are going to make this team. But like, yeah, every year there's usually like a guy or two where you're like, oh, where'd he come from at linebacker or at, safety? And like, that just wasn't really the case coming out of this game, that there was like flashy guys later in the game that were like, oh man, maybe he can carve himself out a role. There just wasn't much of that. So, and the starters seem very set. They seem very good. I don't expect a giant drop off from them, even with all of the changes in the coaching staff. But it's not going to be an easy season if you're just counting on your whole defense to stay healthy, because this is the NFL, and that's just never going to happen.
I agree. It's fun.
Jared Verse had only 3 snaps. I was hoping to see a little bit more from him on the Browns side of the ball, because Gary and I talked about it Sunday. Obviously the Miles thing came up, and obviously while Miles is pretty much the best NFL defensive player in the league, I'm not going to say he's irreplaceable. I'm not going to say we're going to find another Myles Garrett, but you're going to have somebody that could be.
Yeah, close. I mean, you don't need Myles Garrett if you have 2 of them.
The reality is you're not going to find another Miles Garrett, but you can
Yeah.
put pieces together enough to
To make
do
it, yeah.
what you need to do.
And
And the
I
biggest one is
really do.
Hurts.
Yeah, I don't think this defense. The defense is going to miss Miles, but I think this defense is going to be balanced to a point where they're going to want turnovers as much as sacks. And I think we relied too much on sacks with Jim Schwartz that there was no turnovers. But I think Rutenberg is going to come in here. He's going to be aggressive, and these guys are. Hopefully, the DBs are going to catch the ball. I think that's my only issue is that it's going to be in there. Just see if they catch it because they have Jerry Jeudy hands sometimes, but. I think we might be okay when it comes to that. I'm not too worried on that part of Miles being gone as some people, other fans are. Mainly one that's always Facebook, but I'm not gonna bring his name up. Every time I bring up a Jared Verse post, someone's in our DMs on the Bearded Browns on Facebook, like, but Miles is like, all right,
Yeah.
guy, come on.
Yeah, he's not Miles great, but because you brought him up, let's talk a little bit about Jared Verse. Did you guys see the interview he did recently talking about the fighting at camp?
I did not.
No.
We'll get into today's fighting at camp, but this was from the old fighting at camp when basically they asked him about like the retaliation from Spencer Fano, and
I
his
did read that,
response
yeah.
was essentially, I am a gritty player. He's like, I am a fierce competitor, and I'm actually really disrespectful when I compete. He's like, I've talked trash. He's like, I go hard and I never take a break. He's like, and I just go at guys. And honestly, I am not shocked that he retaliated eventually, but I'm also somewhat excited he retaliated basically because, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, we need guys who are willing to retaliate because I was being disrespectful, I was being brutal, and he came right back at me. And that's the kind of player that I thought he was, but it's also the kind of player we need on our offensive line because there are other people that are going to come after him, and he is not going to take it. And I just thought that not only is that like awesome for Jared Verse that he's that kind of competitor, it is awesome that that level of respect. Fano went back at him, and he's not like, well, now we're like bitter rivals. He's like, and he basically said like, I was able to go at him because when we started camp, like he had a long way to go, and he has gotten so much better in the last few months that I went from teaching him a bunch of stuff to now that he is actually already good enough that he's challenging me, teaching me stuff, and helping me get better. And the entire interaction, I just bring up to bring that like two great players, two great competitors, but that level of competitiveness and mutual respect is just it just hasn't been a Browns thing for a while. And like it's exactly what you guys were saying and what Mike had said earlier in the season, where it's like, sure, Miles is not replaceable, but if the entire team has a better culture defensively, then just let's count on Miles to make the play. That is where maybe not this year alone, but over the next few years, the Browns have a chance to come out and be just as good as they've ever been on that side of the ball.
We'll get right back into that. We're going to pause real quick for station identification. And we're back.
And we're back. Yes, Jared Verse is a leader. Miles was more of a silent assassin. He played and people kind of took their lead, but Jared Verse hopefully is going to play and be as vocal as that. I think this is what this young team needs. And by the way, it matches their defensive coach, right? Mike Rutenberg seems to be this loud, boisterous guy who's just emotional, wears his heart on his sleeve. And I'm hoping to see some of that. And you'll probably still see some dancing, Mike. I know you like that dancing every time they do a play, even though they're down by 20. It's going to be fun to watch. Fun fact, Aditi and Iman watch Grant Delpit film. That tells you how good Grant Delpit is.
Yeah, this was a fun fact. So I love Aditi Kinkhabwala. I always follow her stuff. She had mentioned on the radio, and I just thought it was kind of cool that she talked to Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Iman, and basically he had told her a story about how, I think she was talking to them about playing with Grant Delpit and the trio that they have back there. We all expect them to play a lot because we're pretty thin at cornerback, and if you're going to get 5 defensive backs out there, they seem like we talk about in the line all the time, get the best 5 out there. They seem like the best 5. But yeah, he had mentioned like that when he was younger and trying to like figure out his craft, he used to watch Grant Delpit film because he thought that's kind of the way that I can play the game. And for those of you that don't know, Grant Delpit tore his Achilles
Yeah.
his rookie year, and he's changed the way he's played since. He's built back, but he lost a little bit of explosion early. But it was kind of cool to hear like that must be pretty sweet to be on the team with a guy who you were kind of patterning your game after when you were younger. And so I just thought that was kind of a fun fact when she brought it up. I was like, how cool for him to probably be able to tell her that.
Yeah, that safety, that 3 safety looks gonna be pretty cool. See, I see Emon run to break up a pass during a mini camp that was just it looked like he was like I know hyper I know you've
He's
seen like
athletic.
8 of them. Yeah, he's seen like 8 of them. It's like boom 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 boom. It looked like a friggin' uh anime out there running around defending it. Just how fast he was, and it's going to be cool to see what comes out of him. I didn't see too much of him last Saturday as far as like really watching, because I was really watching the offensive line. But
Mhm.
I'm hoping excited to see what he does game 2.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what he does during joint practices because it'll be fun to see him out versus ones, and I'm sure he
Oh
will get
yeah.
some reps.
I agree. Guys, do we have a competition? Here's a competition that no one's talking about. I went to training camp and I noticed that the Browns have 3 kickers again. Browns had 3 kickers. Corey was not too many people follow this sub. This is how deep. For those that are in Lorain County, listen to us for the first time. We go deep into competition. We don't only talk about quarterback competition. We're talking about punter competition, kickers. That's what we love. Our special teamers and our quarterbacks. But they have 3 punters in camp right now, and it seems like Corey Bojorquez has had some competition ahead of him, right? What do you guys think of that? Do you think that now last year they brought in some competition and he made the cut, but this year they got 2 people, so there's 3 punters and they're kicking. What do you guys?
Yeah, that was Nick Constantino, new whatever, right? That kicked that 62 yarder Saturday. That
It's a
looked
boot.
that looked good, and then it actually panned to them, all 3 of them standing there talking, and Corey Bajorquez is like, "Yeah, man, that was a nice kick. You take my job, bro. It's on."
Yeah. What Corey was always really good at is ball placement. He has the ability to drop it in the 5-yard line, and that is a very difficult skill. But it's worth mentioning, like, if another guy like, teams are not hell-bent on keeping a kicker for 10 years, and guys get shuffled a lot. If they show somebody with the ability to boot, and they're worried about the quarterback play and the fact that we might have to flip the field a lot this season, they're gonna be pretty hyped about a guy that can put it in the air 60 plus yards. So
Yeah.
I think it's like, I don't know if it's an open competition, like, oh, we're not sure about Corey, so let's get somebody else, as much as it is, we've got Corey, we're good with Corey, but why not see what else we have in these other guys? It kind of feels like a don't let them see your backup situation. I'm sure everybody's heard that term a lot, like never let them see
Yeah.
your backup.
We've seen a
You
lot of those.
you don't want to let these coaches see somebody able to do something you can't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't count out the fact that the the punting position is just set just because we have a veteran from last year back in. I think they are going to keep their eyes peeled for the next cheap talent that they can keep around.
Yeah, Corey Bojorquez, you spoke of how he pins people in. By the way, last year that number dropped from 2024, which was 36, sorry. And that number dropped inside the 20 from 36 to 23 last year.
Big dip.
Big dip. And now a lot of people say, oh, that's just 13. Like that's 13 kicks inside the 20. That's pretty insane. Like
For
to
for an
do.
NFL season with 17 games,
Yeah.
almost one kick a game less in that frame, and it's not like we didn't punt plenty last year. That's a number. Knowing the way this team reviews analytics, that is a number that would strike them to look at other options. Like if
You
you
must-
Three
don't
and
think
out.
that, yeah, if you don't think that, then you haven't been paying attention to the way they operate. If they
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
something that flags them, they're going to look at
You
it
want to hear
and
another flag? His net average 2023 42, 2024 41, 2025 37.
again, it seems like only a couple yards when you're looking at multiple punts a game. That is a huge difference.
Now, Mike did bring up a good point. He did have a ankle injury early last year, so that might be that net average might be impacted by that ankle injury. But for me, the inside to 20 speaks a lot because, like you said, analytically, they want you to be as close to that goal line as possible to go down the field as long as possible. And he had two punts blocked last year, but the the last 2 years, this friggin' special teams has just been horrible. So you can't really look at these stats and just say this is Corey's fault. But I found it very interesting when I noticed that there's all these punters over there than normal during training camp. And I said, this is interesting. I want to see what you guys' take on that is.
One more fun fact: our special teams has spent as much time on the field as the offense did.
Go ahead. Yeah. A lot of punts for Mr. Corey Bajorquez because he what is it? I got those numbers. 91 punts last year. And he had 88 or 89 the year before. So that's a lot.
We need to stay on the field. My goodness.
And two, maybe they look at that and they say, man, that's kind of like a pitcher, right? Eventually that leg is going to go out and no longer be good with all these punts. It's a used leg. We need a fresh leg in there. That is he did have 11 touchbacks, which was higher amongst kickers, but that's the only thing I see. And they probably see like, but man, 552 punt return yards allowed. And that's why you got to kick away, man. That scary stuff.
Shout out to the comments. They're going wild today. Just wanted to let people know we got a couple more things to touch on, but Giga Chad, we'll get back to your comment on Coach Munkin, and then we'll swing through some of these when we get a minute. There is one more special teams topic I wanted to hit before we move on off the special teams train, and that is, did the Browns finally draft their own player who can return kicks for this team?
And we'll do that right after this quick break.
Stay tuned.
And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, Lorain County, the world, we are back. We're going to finish the show off talking about your beloved Cleveland Browns. And I have something for you guys at the end of the show, so save me like 4 or 5 minutes really quick. It's something that Gary and I did Sunday, so I want to do this with you guys. It's a new segment called Overreaction to Reality. So let's go on.
With the Browns, everything is overreaction, right?
Stop it. Stop it.
No, I do think we did find a kicker returner, punt returner, pass catcher, Swiss Army knife, running back, whatever you want to put KC at, put him at quarterback if you need to. I was skeptical only because of my inability to really be bought in because I wanted Omar Cooper Jr. Selfishly. But after looking into it and after realizing what Casey can do at the route tree and how Todd Monken, once we got the coach, it matched the player. It made sense. Todd Monken wants to get people in space. Casey Concepcion's route tree in college was huge. It made sense. Perfect pairing. So I'm excited to see not only what he does on the offensive side, but what he can do returning punts, because it's been Josh Cribbs long since we've seen anyone that can return a punt efficiently and effectively like KC did that one time. Just one time, and it sold me. One time, I was like, all right, put him back there every time. Have nobody else. I don't care.
It doesn't help that last year's punt returner went out there and muffed one immediately after in Gage Larvadain, who I do not think has any shot to make this team this year.
Didn't he muff one? He muffed one in the preseason game as well.
Yeah,
That's
what I'm saying. He shortly after KC showed some explosiveness and barely got shoestring tackled. You got a guy bobbling the ball who's on the bubble. And it just, like I said, each year that Andrew Berry has been here, we've brought in some veteran 32-year-old punt returner or kick returner on a free agent contract every year, and every year that has not worked out for a different reason. And every year I've said, you have to be able to draft somebody who can catch a punt or kick or kick, so you don't have to keep going out and getting a specific special teamer. And this is the first person they've drafted who has showed like that dynamic skill. And again, one punt, whatever, but still, also watching him take that shovel pass and like showing his body control, his ability to read a block. He looks like a guy that will be able to do that. So I just think that's pretty exciting.
Don Fowler, I am completely with you. I said it Sunday with me and Gary on the air. I don't like it only because that's your most chances to get hurt are right there. And if you're going to be a number one possible choice to be targeted in these games, we can't afford you to be injured. You're going to put points on the board, put them running away from defenders, not at them, and take the liability.
I thought this was Cleveland.
I like the grit. Don't get me wrong, man. But
I thought this was. Is the term Cleveland soft or is it Cleveland tough?
I don't care right now. I don't want Casey Concepcion to get hurt at all. That's my biggest gripe about it, and I'll die on that mountain. I don't care. Don't get me wrong. It was a nice return. We could find somebody else that'll be able to do it.
I'm just going to make my side of this very clear. If they are willing to risk him out there in a preseason game, they're putting him out there in the regular season when it counts.
Facts.
So for anybody who thinks this was a blip, you don't put a guy out to return punts in preseason if you're not, when it doesn't count at all, if you're not willing to put him out there. But I would just say this has been done by starters in all of history. Good teams put dynamic players back to return punts and kicks and have for so long. And yes, it increases your injury, but so does every play that you're out there. I don't know if there's any statistic that says guys get hurt more catching punts than they do catching balls in the middle of the field with safeties jumping up to, knock you out.
Yeah, so I agree. You need playmakers, right? Playmakers, you give him his space. Punt return, no one's by him 10, 15 yards. His speed is dynamic. He can cut. He can slice and dice, right? So I would not be opposed. Also, too, Antonio Brown. He did it for the first couple of years, right? So you got acclimated as a receiver. Antonio Brown was a dynamic punt return. Remember when he kicked our kicker in the face and ran the punt back?
Yeah, he's smaller than Casey Concepcion is.
He was smaller than Casey, and he survived. I think you do it until you find someone else to do it. And if they do it, it might be moments in games where you feel like you need a momentum swung in your way and you put Casey back there. But you got Wallace. Maybe Taylor Wallace will be back there. But it's not going to be as good as Casey Concepcion because his ability to break and cut and make a play is going to be far greater than anyone we've seen. Someone reminded me, Travis Benjamin. I think he was the latest after Josh Cribbs. But Josh Cribbs is more efficient, though.
Yeah, I just think, Travis Benjamin was somebody I should have thought, but that was a long time ago now, guys. That was probably over a decade ago.
That's what I mean. When I saw him return that punt, I'm like, oh, my God, we're going to see something. We're going to see it. I mean,
Antonio Brown, high ankle sprain in 2012. Cranial concussion in 16, calf tear in 2017, high groin strain in 2018, knee injury in 2020, and an ankle injury in 2021.
He wasn't returning punts during that cranial injury. That was Cincinnati's middle linebacker.
Yeah, that's my point. It's like these guys are going to get their injuries. Like how many of them are on punts? And I think your point is taken, Mike. It does introduce some risk. I think the point though for them is they have a deep receiver room now, and it's not. And yes, Casey Concepcion has shown some ability, and I think the trajectory for him is to be a starting wide receiver for us. But right now we have Jerry Jeudy in the room. Isaiah Bond is having poising himself for a sophomore breakout, and he's very dangerous. Boston looks incredible. Casey Concepcion. There's bodies out there now. Cedric Tillman, I think, is still going to make this team and is still going to be in play. Having somebody out there that can return punts and kicks gives you one more shot to be out on the field and still a chance for these other receivers to take some of those reps at receiver. So I just think it's a realistic thought that he might be out there. I would hope he doesn't get hurt and that the risk is kind of mitigated by the fact that you're just doing it 2 or 3 times a game and the field is wide open in front of you and you can just try to make good choices. I don't want him to be a guy that just puts his head down and gets bombed. But again, he looks like he has incredible body control. He looks like he can break tackles. He looks like he's really good at reading the field. On that shovel pass, he read a block. He got exactly where he needed to be. He took contact well and kept his balance. He shows those skills. And for a team that is going to be dying to get on the other side of the 50-yard line, that's something I don't know if they can afford to pass on.
Yep. We died a long time ago.
And
anyways,
Don Fowler. I did not compare Benjamin to Cribbs and Metcalf. I said he was the last one who at least returned punts.
That we brought in ourselves.
That we brought in ourselves, that we drafted. I can't remember. I can't remember since Kevin was here of a punt return. Maybe there was one, but it wasn't or a kick return. I just can't remember.
Yeah, me either.
It's been a long time.
We're going to try something that we tried on the show Sunday, and I want the fans to answer these questions as well. It's called Overreaction or Reality. It's kind of like our X thing that we had last year, fact or fiction type deal. But I want you guys to just answer either Overreaction or Reality, and the fans on the show do it as well. Simple questions. You guys ready?
Yep.
Chad, I could see Chad's turning red in the face because he's going to want to explain every answer. So just say Overreaction or Reality. All right. The Browns should be worried about the quarterback situation. Overreaction or Reality?
Well, overreaction, because I think they have their answer. It's 2027 draft. Go ahead.
All right. Casey Concepcion needs to get the ball more.
Overreaction.
Chad can't hear us. All right. The Browns' defense is the biggest problem.
No, overreaction.
Agreed. The offensive line is more concerning than the QB position.
Overreaction.
I'm like 50-50 on that one, man.
That's why it took me a while to answer.
I am like, that's that.
I think you can be right and wrong on that one. Yeah.
Shador Sanders still has a legitimate shot at quarterback 1.
That is a what do you call that? Not a reality. Overreaction. He's done. Guys, listen. Shador Sanders did not beat out a 40-year-old quarterback who has no legs. If he can't do that, he's not going to be your quarterback 1. They're going to be drafting a quarterback next. I said it last week. I saw what I saw, and you guys all in the chat made fun of me. There's no quarterback on this team that's going to last past this year. Just not going to happen. Sorry, go ahead, Chad.
All right.
Yep, I totally agree. I just think if the season, like we said, starts today, it's Watson, and it should be concerning to people that Watson, who everybody thinks stinks, hasn't been beat out already. It just doesn't seem like it's in the cards. I'm sure he'll get his chances to play, but he's going to have to do something phenomenal that we haven't seen from him ever yet.
And that's starting with reading defenses.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Which he hasn't done since college.
James says when Watson goes down, who will be quarterback 1? And that's going to be Sanders, more than likely. I'll give him that for now. That brings us to the next question. 1 preseason game means nothing.
Yeah. A reality. Doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah. I mean, if you're the Browns, it kind of does. But, yeah, I'm there. 1 preseason game can still expose lots of problems.
Yes. Reality.
I agree.
That
Sam
I agree
always
with.
has
I think
to say
it's,
Uncle
like
Rico.
we said earlier, it's meant to look good. So you don't read too much into it. If it looks good, it's meant to look good. You can probably figure something out if it looks bad because it's going to get harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it, guys. I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. Make sure you guys all like, subscribe, share. And Saturdays we'll be on live at 9 in the morning till 10 for a pregame. And then Sundays we'll be live from 11:30 to 1, talking Cleveland Browns football here and on WOBL. If you want to listen, you can listen on WOBLradio.com. And that's it for you guys. We appreciate you guys for joining us. And
real quick, if Will you be surprised if Shedeur Sanders is the one traded
I would be surprised if anybody wants to bring that media storm into their building.
this year? Okay. Fair.
All right.
Yeah.
Until then.
Go Browns.